Could this be the last time he leaves here for Prime Minister's questions? Tonight, that's certainly possible, maybe even probable, especially given the reception that awaited him in the House of Commons. The Labour leader chose to focus on the case of Chris Pincher, the former minister now facing allegations of serial sexual misconduct, but who'd been promoted by the Prime Minister.
And the power the disgraced government minister had was handed to him by that Prime Minister. And he's only in power because he's been propped up for months by a corrupted party defending the indefensible.
In response, Boris Johnson tried some familiar tunes.
The difference between this government and that opposition is we have a plan and they do not. We're getting on. They want to focus on this type of issue, Mr. Speaker. We're going to get on with our jobs.
But today, the usual chorus behind him was silent. In fact, they had a tune of their own.
Does the Prime Minister think there are any circumstances in which he should resign?
Nothing left for him to do other than to take responsibility and resign.
Put the interests of the nation before his own interests, and before, in his own words, it does become impossible for government to do its job.
But he was still fighting.
But frankly, Mr. Speaker, the job of a Prime Minister in difficult circumstances when he's been handed a colossal mandate is to keep going, and that's what I'm going to do.
The resignation of Sajid Javid yesterday as Health Secretary kicked off this crisis. Today, he was granted a resignation statement, and Boris Johnson had to stay and listen to it.
And now this week again, we have reason to question the truth and integrity of what we've all been told. And at some point, we have to conclude that enough is enough. I believe that point is now.
This MP had been among the most loyal, no longer.
I think he's got poor advisors. They're there to advise him and protect him as well, and make sure that the right messages come out of number 10. And over the past 4 or 5 days, the right messages have not come out of number 10. And it has to stop somewhere. And, you know, I've been a big supporter of Boris. I think he's been great for this country. But I have to look at myself in the mirror in the morning and say, is this right? It's not right.
So time for him to go?
Yep.
This afternoon, the Prime Minister faced more questions, this time from select committee chairs.
How important is the truth to you, Prime Minister?
Very important, Bob.
And accuracy of language and statement?
Also.
Very important.
Very, very important. There will be no more.
He has defied the odds before. But for many, this is now a matter of when, not if.
So, Andy, we saw Anne-Marie Trevelyan just walk into number 10 just before we came on air. What do we know about the delegation of Cabinet Ministers?
Yeah, I mean, she's the Secretary of State for International Trade at the moment. She is a serving Cabinet Minister. What we are hearing is that there are a group of serving Cabinet Ministers, the ones who haven't resigned, who are getting ready to tell Boris Johnson that he has to go. The sort of names we're hearing involved in this are Grant Shapps, the Transport Secretary. How many times have we seen him come out and defend Boris Johnson on the television morning rounds, for instance? He's one of the people being talked about. Simon Hart, the Welsh Secretary, also been very loyal. Michael Gove, now this is an interesting one. I'm not sure where he is, quite frankly. He wasn't there at Prime Minister's questions. As far as we know, he is also being talked of as somebody who may be telling the Prime Minister that the game is up. That is, in the old days, they talked about the men in the grey suits coming to tell a Conservative Party leader that the time was up and they would have to go. It sounds as if there is a group of Conservative Cabinet Ministers, the ones who ostensibly have stayed loyal. There's even suggesting that Nadhim Zahawi has only just been appointed Chancellor of the Exchequer, that he is part of this group, saying, frankly, Prime Minister, your time is up. We should know more about that in the next hour or so.
Gosh, Andy, so much going on. Do you think he could survive?
I don't think he's going to be able to survive this. I don't know when it's going to be, but I think it really is now a question of when, not if. Earlier today, this morning, I spoke to one member of the Cabinet who said people are in open revolt. You know, he did say the Prime Minister, if anyone can survive it, he's like Lazarus. If anyone can do it, he can. But this particular member of the Cabinet said he didn't see that there was a way out for him at that point.
OK, thanks, Andy.